All right. Hey everybody, this is Peter and Pete. I'm going to give you the Bitcoin price stats over the last week of December 27th through January 3rd, I guess. The original price coming up opening was around $27,509.47. The 7-day high was at $34,481.12. The 7-day low was $25,833 or $33.73. And as we are recording this right now, the closing price is $33,556. I'll kick it over
So,
to you, Pete.
yeah, I mean, 2021 off to a crazy start already, which everyone predicting 2021's the year where the crazy bull run is happening. Already seeing it end of 2020, start of 2021. Pretty crazy. So, we're excited as fellow hodlers to see this starting. But anyhow, we'll get into the headlines that we want to run down for everyone out there this week. First off, I saw a tweet by Naval Ravikant on Twitter. I think that's how you say his name, Naval. I don't know. I just started following him after this, but he had an interesting tweet. And shoot, I gotta have it handy here. He tweeted on December 26th. So, well, I guess that was right before the week started, but I thought it was really worth noting. He says it's not so much Bitcoin going up as the dollar's going down, and I think um, I think most of us who are believers in Bitcoin kind of know that ourselves, but there's a certain amount of hysteria going on about, oh, we're all going to be crazy rich because of this, and it's tough to not get excited with seeing the dollar signs, but it's like, the kind of sad side of it is seeing our buying power with USD going down. So just because your Bitcoin's going up priced, in relation to the dollar, are we really getting that much richer? And to kind of like back up his point on that, I looked into, I've found this nonpartisan site. What was it? It was
This is good.
having it handy here. We're off to a fast start here. Fiscal year 2020, the federal government ran a deficit of $3.1 trillion, which was more than triple than that in fiscal year 2019. The deficit amounted to 15.2% of GDP, which was the greatest deficit as a share of the economy since 1945. So going back to World War II times when, government was printing money to pay for, tanks and aircraft carriers, whatever, to beat Japan and Germany. Crazy times. That's the kind of stuff we're going in right now with COVID-19 and what the government's doing and our addiction to just printing fiat. So that's kind of what Naval was getting at there. And anyhow, I'm rambling. Backstream. Ooh, sorry, Peter. What are your thoughts?
One of my thoughts, yeah, I mean, we talked about it a little bit beforehand. It's like you said, Bitcoin going up as the dollar goes down, and not necessarily that we're getting rich off of it, but just the value of the dollar is going down. And I did see another article that kind of piggybacks off of this that talked about Bitcoin, I think, jumping like 22 or 23 different nations' currencies of just like in circulation. I think it's called M1 money, coins and paper that's out from the treasury or from the bank. That's a little bit over my head at the moment, but hopefully as we learn more about this and just continue these conversations, we'll have a greater understanding. But I think it does point out that just the value of the dollar is going down and our debt keeps going up, and they just keep. And if you look at the year that we had with the stimulus checks, even though I think there was only 2 rounds of it printed, there's just more money being printed that's going to help drive that dollar down, the USD down in the long run, unfortunately.
Yeah. And so just didn't have the website handy earlier there, but for those who want to look it up, it was bipartisanpolicy.org, and they do a deficit tracker each year. That's where I found that, and that was just a little bit of info I wanted to pull up for everyone to kind of back up Naval's tweet there. And yeah, I think there's not much more to be said. Naval kind of hit the nail on the head there, and that's what we're seeing too. We're not economists, but it's hard. Anyone who's not an expert can see, how's the government paying for keeping everything afloat when no one's working,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, crazy. Well, thanks for starting us off with our first headline. I think I'm going to jump to on the top 5 that we took a look at. The next one I was talking about was the noxious poison said by Warren Buffett, Berkshire-Hathaway's, as it surpasses Warren Buffett's Berkshire-Hathaway's valuation. So in this article that I found that you can actually conveniently just find on Bitcoin.com, I try to find most of my news about Bitcoin away from other sources that are literally called Bitcoin.com, but this one was too good to pass up. As historically, these heavy hitters of Peter Schiff and Warren Buffett, who have, for lack of a better term, like poo-pooed Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, that just talk about how it's like a rat poison and it's a pyramid scheme. But now the valuation is actually surpassed Berkshire-Hathaway. And it's just, going towards or working its way up to Tesla, working its way up to Amazon, Microsoft, and Apple. So what are your thoughts? I mean, it's only 12 years old, but what are your thoughts on kind of seeing that article or hearing those words, Pete?
No, I want to emphasize something here, because I think for anyone out there who may be listening who's new to crypto, who's new to investing in general, maybe to know where Warren Buffett's coming from when he says it's poison. His background as a businessman is a value investor. He values things like businesses based on a return they can give him because they produce stuff, right? Classic metrics is price to earnings. Well, something like Bitcoin, it's not a business. It can never have earnings because it's just something that holds value, right? Like, because we say it's digital gold. And he's always been down on gold historically because gold doesn't produce anything. He'd always say he'd rather have $1 billion worth of farmland rather than $1 billion worth of gold. And I understand where he's coming from there. And that's why I can see he's against something like Bitcoin. But I think where you and I would think Warren is missing the point here is that the dollar's failing, like we just talked about in the last point, and fiat currencies all over the world are failing because nothing is pegged to anything that is considered to have value, and it's all controlled by these centralized governments who can just make it out of thin air. And these governments aren't producing anything. They're just printing money and trying to keep businesses like the airline industry afloat. Okay.
Yeah, you're right. He has a line in there that talks about buying a farm or buying a house or an interest in a business because you can get a return, but if you buy Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, you don't really have anything that you're producing. And he does have his line is you're just hoping the next guy pays more, which which we kind of are, because we're hoping that the value just keeps going up and that the next people who are going to either trade or become hodlers, will invest and hold on to it and keep the value up high. So it's like kind of true.
No, he has a point, and that's why people listen to him, and that's why people can be scared off, and that's honestly why it took me as long as it did for me to get involved with Bitcoin, because I saw the points he's making, and it's why I was never in gold before either. But because it can't produce anything. So he's like you say, it's just a speculative asset. You're hoping the next guy pays more. And if we don't ever have full on adoption by everyone, Bitcoin can still go to zero. It still could. Yeah. But it is an amazingly unique invention by whoever that Satoshi guy is that had a way to make it both scarce and decentralized. So there's a reason why people are more and more adopting it. And with that network effect, it doesn't look like it's going to go to zero. It looks like people are deciding there is a reason to adopt it and use it as a money for the future going forward. So that's what we got on that. Moving on.
Headline, yep. I think we got to figure out something like some cool transition here, but what's your headline?
If anyone out there is watching this, please bear with us. We promise we're going to try to get better at this. Okay, so the next thing we thought, and I think this is probably my favorite headline for the week. I think a lot of people heard about this week, that Russell Okung, he's an offensive tackle for the Carolina Panthers. I think a year or two ago, first tweeted out that he wanted to be paid in Bitcoin because he's been an earlier adopter to Bitcoin. Pretty cool to see pro athletes being that, like, I don't know, whether you think we're crazy Bitcoiners or not, like to take that much interest in their money and try to be responsible and stuff, that he, cares this much to do something like this. And now successfully, apparently he's going to get 50% of his paycheck in Bitcoin, 50% in US dollars. And I guess I was kind of like, so the Carolina Panthers have Bitcoin on their balance sheet to just pay their staff? Because I was scratching my head on that one. And apparently they're going to use Strike, which, this is on us for not knowing enough about what Strike is, but I think Strike is just kind of like another exchange or a wallet maybe. And they must have a supply of Bitcoin for the Panthers to be able to convert the dollars to Bitcoin for him. But I'm wondering a couple things. I'm curious to know if you're wondering the same thing. Is how long are they going to be able to keep paying him like this? Because supposedly Bitcoin is drying up on all the exchanges. I guess there's always going to be stuff there. It'll just keep going up. He'll get paid in less and less BTC. So he better hold his value. And then two, like, why does he really need this if they're just having to convert it anyhow? Why doesn't he just take his dollars and immediately convert it to BTC himself? I'm kind of wondering. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think maybe if that last part's intriguing because maybe it is a security reason even, right? Like he wants it to be on them to hold and secure, but then they still got to transfer it to them. Then I don't know. I don't know why. You're right. I don't know why he would take it. It could be the way that they pay out too. And so maybe because I know the NFL cap is a little funny where they can restructure it to be some bonus where he gets a lot of it up front. And maybe that's why he's just saying, hey, take that bonus structure that you're paying me now and buy Bitcoin or hold on to it. And we'll use some kind of metric where you pay me. It's almost like a bonus structure. I'm not quite sure. Cause if into the NFL, are listening to different people in the NFL, they talk about there's no thing as an actual cap, and so there's different like ways that they manage their own money. Yeah. But I don't understand that reasoning either as you've looked more into it. And you're right, Strike is something that I'm unfamiliar with too. But it could be. What was the one I was looking up? Micro strategy systems or micro strategic systems. A company that makes large bulk purchases of a couple $1 million of Bitcoin when it's available, and then maybe the NFL is working with, or the Carolina Panthers are working with one of those groups that has large quantities of Bitcoin on hand.
And it's going to be interesting also to see if, I don't know, if other athletes or even just other workers, like say you or me, like it just begs the question, when will come the day when someone like you and me can say to our employer, hey, pay me half in Bitcoin or pay me all in Bitcoin? Like it's pretty amazing that he's been able to push for this. And it just makes you wonder when it'll come for the rest of us, or at least other guys in other pro athletes, high profile, so celebrity types, out there that we happen to know how much money they make.
Yeah, and it's almost like, does Carolina Panthers do they do an initial bulk buy right now, and they're holding on to it, and then they just transfer it to him, and so
right, and that's what I thought at first, but apparently that they
oh, then you
are
talk about strike,
kind of paying him in USD, and then having this service converted for him. So they're not going to ever actually be the ones controlling the Bitcoin, is how I read the article. But I got to think that that day will come eventually. If there are companies out there supposedly already converting their dollars to Bitcoin on their balance sheets. So
why don't we do this? First guest is this Russell guy, because their season's over. I think they went 5-11.
dude,
So
we're going to try to get them, folks. If there's any listeners out there who know Russell, get him in touch with us. Right? Okay. This is fun pretending. Sorry, I'm gonna have a hard time not calling you that.
It's okay, Gonzo.
You got a bleep button?
Yeah, the dumb button. I'll have to hit it on you. So I'll take that as my turn here. Mine comes from 3 days ago. So just before the calendar turned over, or the calendar did turn over. I'm not quite sure how to read into it, because it's probably based on wherever you are at listening to this at the moment. But Chinese miners migrate to Nordic regions. Mining execs say hash rate migration, one of the biggest developments. So when I looked into this, again, very novice on the whole Bitcoin mining, and where and when and why they really choose a location that they choose. But it does make sense after reading more about it and kind of, again, going through the wormhole. But there are miners in China who are leaving China because of the once low cost to mine, either through their coal or through some of the government-controlled subsidized pricing through some of their regions. They're starting to get the pressure put on them as costs go up for coal in that area. They're also getting some pressure from the communist, I don't know, there's a people's, what is it? The people's,
the Chinese Communist Party or whatever it's called.
They're putting pressure on them to leave, or just to close up their mining operation. And they're also looking to get up to Sweden and Norway as the Nordic region, because of some green energy or sustainable energy, as Bitcoin becomes more readily talked about. As we have NFL players who are asking me be paid in Bitcoin, they're kind of getting free publicity, and so they are taking the risk and going to a place that's a little bit more well known. Actually, quite the contrast from China, and they're going to be harvesting or mining Bitcoin in these Nordic regions. So I have a couple of reasons why I clicked onto that article, just for personal reasons, but I thought it was pretty cool, and it just helped me learn a little bit more about Bitcoin, and kind of a big development when over 50% of the miners, or the people who are mining Bitcoin, are in one area, and those individuals are leaving and going to other areas. What are your thoughts?
Well, I have heard this before, that some people's fear of Bitcoin is that they think too much of the mining is controlled in China, and there's a lot of people that are afraid of China nowadays. I think we can think of all kinds of reasons why. Don't mean that in any way to be offensive. I just mean, obviously they're a big, powerful country, and with the current regime being a communist regime, and while they had opened up more, seems to be trending more authoritarian. Is kind of a scary thought, but apparently their regime is not too friendly to Bitcoin, because they've shut down exchanges. Right, I saw that in the article.
Mm-hmm.
It's like illegal, so I don't really know what that means. I think the mining not being all centered in China is probably a good thing. That being said, I don't want it being centered anywhere. I think it being diversified through the country only helps promote the decentralization more. Right? I mean, I think that, because as we want Bitcoin to not be just for Americans or only those in the West, and we don't want it only for those in the Far East, or but I think one of the beautiful things about Bitcoin is that I'm seeing stuff about how people in developing countries who have, like you mentioned earlier, we said the dollar's failing. Well, all these other fiats in much weaker countries, those currencies have never been worth much of anything. So in smaller developing countries, people have been turning to Bitcoin already, adopting it before a lot of Americans have discovered it. And this could be a great equalizer, rebalancing of financial power in the world, really. I mean, not that I'm yearning for
pushing
some
for
sort of
that.
revolution, but it's nice to think that, if you had the foresight, it doesn't matter, that this could be an equalizer and help those maybe who maybe came from a more impoverished country or something, that this could actually be better for them to hold value, because if they get paid in their local crummy currency and trust that thing's going to be able to buy them their dinner the next day, but they put it in Bitcoin and they can hold on to that over time it's going to buy them a lot more. And so that's just a good thing for people of the world, no matter what country you're from. And I got a little off topic there maybe, but yeah, I just think the mining being distributed more evenly and not just close to 50% in China or whatever the old number was is a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. I think just due to time, I mean, as we continue to develop, this podcast and these videos, we'll attach the links to the conversations that are the articles that we found in the description, so people can click on the ones that we
we can do that with this one.
Chose at the top 5 for those reasons. And anybody who wants to leave a comment or other areas that they want us to explore, we can definitely do that as well. Smash that like button and subscribe to us. But I think I know that I set a timer a couple minutes into it, and we're nearing 15, if not past 15 at the moment. So just to keep it to the name, I think we should just keep the happy birthday shout out pretty minimal. We can always talk about it on another podcast, because I'm sure it'll come up again. But on Jan 3rd, 2019, I think is when the
2009.
I'm sorry, the Bitcoin network came into existence. So happy birthday, Bitcoin. 12 years old, I think, right? Yeah, 12.
If you got that date right, that is 12 years. Yes, I can do that math. So, all right, 12 years in, and only going up to the moon from here, right? So
what were we doing 12 years ago? Well,
we'll keep we'll keep that to ourselves, I guess. I've already said too much. Hopefully you can retroactively bleep stuff. No. Anyhow, this was fun. This was very much a learning experience. The 10 of you that will click on this, I hope you love it. And maybe someday, if we have 500,000 subscribers, people go back and watch the first episode and we'll laugh. So,
won't that be fun? All right.
Peter, it was great being with you.
You too, Peter.
I look forward to doing this in a week's time, and hopefully we got tons of great new headlines to talk about then.
Yeah, sounds good, buddy.
All right. Thanks everybody for tuning into the Bitcoin 15.